Hi guys, welcome back to the Essex Rotary channel. In this week's video, we're talking about adding power to your rotary. Hi guys, welcome back. This week we're going to have a really broad chat over stuff that's often overlooked when you're looking to add power to your rotary. We're not going to be talking specifics with regards to any particular model, but it's going to be a real general look over, and hopefully it'll give you a few things that you may have overlooked when you're looking to make some more ponies. So the first thing to say really is, when you're looking to add more power to any rotary, yes, if it's turboed, it's quite easy, turn up the boost, but there's a lot of stuff, or there's a selection of stuff which is quite often overlooked by a lot of people. Starting with the basics, I suppose, if you're going to be trying to add some more or eke more power from your Doritos on a stick, you really need to be starting with a good service and making sure your car's in good health. So I've sort of touched on servicing RX-8 specifically, really. I've touched on servicing before, but it's a good idea to make sure you've got fresh oil filters, spark plugs are good and they're actually working. Also, stuff like coolant, make sure your coolant's fresh or is not old at least, so it can do its job properly. Your cooling system's in good shape. Then we've got block radiator, coolant leak, something like that. But also the rest of your ignition system, so HT leads, ignition coils. Obviously, if you're looking at ignition coils, it's going to vary widely depending on the generation of RX that you've got. Something like an FB, for instance, has got a pair of old style ignition coils, whereas moving on later onto the FC, which they're known for having pretty robust ignition coils, or the FDs, yeah, they get changed out now and again, but they're still not too bad. A popular upgrade obviously being something like the IGN A1 ignition coils, commonly referred to like AM smart coils. And obviously with the RX-8, we all know the debacle with ignition coils with the RX-8. So it's worth checking to make sure that they're in good order and your leads are good. They're not degraded or there's no damage to them. The other thing you want to take into account is air filters. Make sure they're not restrictive, blocked, old, clogged. This kind of goes back to servicing, I suppose. But yeah, it's the same thing. Even if you've got a good, or what you assume to be as a good filter on it, it's always worth checking. Fuel system. Now, if you're looking to make more power with any rotary, yeah, the RX-8 fuel system's not too bad, being a returnless system, but yeah, a fuel pump upgrade's always a good idea. Obviously, often overlooked with most RX-7s is the fuel filter. So, not that you necessarily need to be changing it for a big performance filter that flows a crap ton of fuel, but quite often they do get forgotten about when you're looking to eke some more power from your car. So don't just changing it out for a good new filter. At least at that point you know, right, it should be flowing well. On that note, check your fuel system's not blocked, your fuel injectors are flowing well. It's a good idea to maybe look at getting them removed, sent away to a good reliable source to get them cleaned and flow tested. So that way your tuner's going to know what your fuel injectors are actually flowing as opposed to what they should have been flowing from the factory. Fuel rails, fuel pressure regulators, again on return fuel systems especially, is worth at least checking to make sure they're operating correctly. We've seen several fuel pressure regulators over time now that have had broken springs internally. So while you assume, oh, there's no leaks, so it's okay, the regulator's not actually doing its job, and you're only really able to find that out if you've got a gauge on it. If you've got gauge or any way of measuring what your pressure is, especially on a rising rate regulator, as you go to crank up the boost, or you go to push boost into a turbocharged engine, for instance, it's not going to increase your fuel pressure to the correct rate. Your map's not going to be able to compensate, or if you're tuning it, you're going to have to be chucking a crap ton of fuel into it just to see the results that you're looking for. Because without a rising rate regulator on a boosted engine, your injectors are trying to fight increased manifold pressure, and they're not able to work efficiently. That said, something else that's always worth keeping an eye on and checking, your ignition timing. It's one of them things that people often overlook, especially if you're looking to tune a car. It's always a good idea to check your base ignition timing before you start to mess with anything. If it's out, especially on something like an FC with a distributor, or an FB with a Dizzy, or even a Series 5 FC with an adjustable crank angle sensor, if it's out, that could lead you to a world of pain, i.e. blown apex seals. Yeah, you're going to be a victim of that meme on the internet, boasting apex seals out. So that's always worth checking. A timing light is the ideal thing to be using. I know it's a really weird thing to be mentioning in the 21st century. Those kind of tools seem to have disappeared in the 90s of last century, by the way. I suppose it's also worth mentioning that it's a good idea to check your engine's healthy. A compression test, maybe also a water jacket test if you've got an RX-7. Some of those are prone to water jacket leaks, and if you've got a water jacket leak, you've essentially got a coolant leak, which is going to mean that your cooling system is not working as efficiently as it should be. On that note, water pump, thermostat, I've mentioned radiator, and I'm potentially going round in circles here, but we are random Brap in here, and a lot of this is off the top of my head. Another thing to be checking are stuff like vacuum or boost leaks. Obviously on an NA car, you're just going to be looking at vacuum. On a turbo car, you're going to need to be checking vacuum and boost sources to make sure there's no leaks. Even the really small itty bitty vacuum lines on something like a rat's nest for an FC or an FD can be a host of pain, nightmares, headache, pulled out hair. There's a number of things which can cause all those little pipes, especially if they're original and you've got cracks, leaks, anything like that, they're going to be causing nightmares. If you've gone single turbo, obviously, or big single on an FC, most of that's all you're going to be waving bye-byes to most of that, so you haven't really got much to worry about. But it is worth checking stuff like that. Also, oil coolers and oil leaks. Check, make sure they're in good shape and you've not got any oil leaks from anywhere. Last thing I suppose to mention is if you've got a aftermarket wideband oxygen sensor installed in your car, which are a must if you're looking to tune the car, it's worth checking to make sure that it's actually calibrated properly. Quite often, wideband sensors, most manufacturers recommend they're calibrated yearly or at a regular interval depending on what you're doing with them. And if you're tuning your engine, you're going to be relying on that quite heavily. So it's worth making sure that it is calibrated. I'm not going to go through how to do it. Obviously each sensor and controller unit is different. So check your manual for your particular wideband sensor to essentially give you the instructions, or to check your manual so you know what you're doing with regards to calibrating it, is what I'm trying to say. I think that pretty much covers most of this stuff pulled straight out the top of my Swede for today. If you've got any questions, any suggestions at all, stick them down in the comments section. Well, I'm sure we'll probably do a more detailed follow-up for each version of the vehicle. But yeah, with that said, I'm going to sign off. You'll be able to find us at essexrotary.co.uk. Our web shop is essexrotarystore.com. You'll find us on social media, Facebook, which is Essex Rotary Specialists. Facebook, already mentioned that one actually. Twitter and Instagram is at Essex Rotary. So yeah, if you need any more information, guys, you're looking for any tips, anything like that, we've got a technical section on our main website. We're always happy to help. Changing lines. We look forward to hearing from you, and yeah, I suppose we'll catch you in the next one.